With billions of dollars in revenue, Dell Technologies is one of the world's largest IT companies, but it came from humble beginnings and has hit its fair share of bumps in the road. In his new book, Play Nice But Win, founder and CEO Michael Dell tells the story of how he started his billion-dollar company with just $1,000 and an undying passion for technology. And he joins us now to discuss the book and more. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, let's start by talking to the book and digging into it. The title of your book is actually something that your mom said to you and your siblings often when you were growing up: play nice, but win. Have you found that it is possible to actually do both in business?
Yes, and it's kind of what I've lived by. Look, I think competition is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. It's a natural thing. But being civil and being fair it is a great way to live your life, and certainly, it takes a long time to build a reputation. I found that relationships matter, and doing things in the right way is how we operate our company, and it's proven to be a successful path for me and for our company.
Michael, as a kid, you were more interested in making money than playing sports, right? And I've always wondered, where did your desire to be an entrepreneur come from? I mean, who were your heroes growing up if they weren't, Willie Mays and Muhammad Ali or athletes or actors or rock stars? I mean, who did you aspire to be like?
Well, when I was a little kid, it was, Hank Aaron and the baseball players that were the stars at the time. But then as I got a little bit older, into my, early teens, and I was, reading about Charles Schwab and Ted Turner and, William McGowan, who founded MCI, and then, of course, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, those entrepreneurs who were disrupting the world and creating new businesses, those were my heroes.
So one of the stories that's sort of getting a lot of attention is your battle a little bit with Carl Icahn, a game of chicken, if you will, which is what Forbes called it. Explain the story of taking your company private and the hard-fought but fairly won battle with Carl Icahn.
So the company had been public for 25 years, and things started to change in the late 2000s, and we started acquiring other companies, investing heavily into software and cloud and security. And the more we did those things, kind of the less the stock market liked it. And being public was rate limiting for our transformation. And so, I, along with Egon Durbin at Silver Lake, endeavored to effectively buy all the shares back from the public shareholders, giving the shareholders a substantial premium, so they got to benefit from some of the potential of our transformation, but not taking any of the risk. And so then we accelerated the transformation. It turned out to be way harder because, Carl, the pirate, showed up and made it really difficult. But as I opened the book, I'm sitting with him, having dinner with him, and his wife had made meatloaf of all things. And, I kind of confront him and say, hey, what's your plan for the company? And it was obvious to me at that point that he had no plan, and to him it was just a big poker game, and he was just looking to use his old green mail techniques. And anyway, we got through all of that, and we accelerated the transformation, and here we are now. First half of this year, over $50 billion in revenues for the 6 months, grew at 15% in the second quarter, and our business is transformed in a very significant way, and we've done quite well for our customers and our shareholders.
Yeah, there's a term, greenmail, I haven't heard in many, many years, Michael. I spent nearly 20 years at AllianceBernstein, and during that time in the early 90s, we would tell the story to our clients about Dell Computer. I mean, it was, for people who may not remember, how remarkable the company was that you founded with just $1,000 from your, I mean, I remember the story, telling it to our clients. You know, you were a college student and you founded this company, and, you know, by 1994, you were the first company to offer what is common now in computers, those ion batteries, right? That like powers all of these laptops and computers. That was Dell Computer. And then I remember distinctly when you started selling the laptops and computers, PCs, in 1996 on the internet. And the internet was not what we know it to be today. And so when you think back to that time, when you think back to the opportunity to use this sort of new technology, newish technology, the internet, to connect with customers, so that by that period when you first started selling online to, I don't know, 1999, you defeated Compaq Computer. Remember Compaq as the largest provider of PCs in the United States, and those iconic cow boxes that my laptop, which was delivered to me in Paris, France. I'll never forget that. Do you remember what those times were like and what you thought of the future with regards to the internet?
I do remember, and I talk about pretty much everything you just said in the book in great detail, and kind of what I was thinking. Look, I think, when the internet, the internet, of course, had been around for a long time, but it was the World Wide Web that started to connect everyone. And you had, the origins of what we now think of as broadband, connectivity. And the idea that you could have a persistent connection with, everyone. And, we had started out as a direct company where we sold on the telephone, right? People would call us on the phone. We would go and see our customers, the larger customers. And, the World Wide Web just opened up this ability to have this persistent connection and really understand customers' needs and requirements. And it was a massive accelerator to our business and so many others. But yeah, in that time, I think, and you could look at the blockchain and decentralized computing and all the new things that are happening right now, and 5G. I think in the same way, nobody's exactly sure what those will mean in 5 or 10 years, but you do have an enormous amount of capital and entrepreneurs out there that are creating these new businesses. And so, I think that was an exciting time. Certainly an enormous amount happened. I think the future is even more exciting.
So you said something.
It's funny because what you're bringing up right there, I was going to say, Michael, is actually something that kind of scares some people too, right? That in the beginning, these sort of personal computers were kind of connected basically to work. And now so much of the hardware and the software, the platforms, it's heavily integrated into every part of our lives. And we saw how we almost lost our mind because we couldn't get on a social platform for like 8 hours. And suddenly we realized, oh, that restaurant that we always like to go to on Friday, we actually don't know how to make a reservation anymore because we always do it, through this one little platform.
Just to clarify, I did not lose my mind.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a much fuller life than some people who remain nameless. But it brings me to this idea that that this type of technology has become like almost a utility, and that maybe the regular folks like us should have some sort of protection, that maybe the federal government needs to step in when they see certain platforms taking an outsized role in our life, that we are particularly vulnerable. I'm sure this is sort of stuff that you sort of watch the ups and downs all the time, but I don't know. So I guess I want to ask you what you think. Do you think that maybe sort of Silicon Valley needs a little more federal intervention?
Well, these are decisions that will be made by society, right? And I think legislators will have hearings as they have, and they'll discuss those things and figure it out. I'm not a legislator or a policymaker, but certainly, any technology can be used for really great things, right? Or maybe some not so great things. I mean, fire was sort of the first technology, right? And fire was amazing, right? Any technology is going to do good and bad at the same time. But I'm an optimist. I believe it's mostly good. Maybe the vast majority of it's good, but we do have to watch out for the sort of downsides, and how do we protect society, and how do we protect the most vulnerable, and how do we make sure it's equitable. I do think in the broad arc of time, technology has been a great democratizer of information and opportunity. It's not perfect, nothing is.
Yeah. So basically, Michael, what you're telling us is a couple of days ago you were not reaching for your phone and trying to doom scroll through Instagram or through Facebook just to see what was happening with your friends and your neighbors. You were doing other things with your life. Yeah, great. Really, really great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you both.
And Michael Dell's book, Play Nice But Win, is available right now.